Welcome to another in the series, Sip and Chat, a place where we talk about the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. It's our pleasure this afternoon to be coming into your homes and to be talking about the goodness of the Lord. Welcome to another in the series, Sip and Chat. It is indeed my pleasure to be here with you this afternoon with another very dynamic guest. Nelson Mandela said that courage is not the absence of fear, but how we triumph over it. And today, I want to we're going to be talking rather with a young lady who has been through a lot in her short time here on planet Earth as we continue to celebrate the accomplishments of young women all across the island. And I think I've been blessed, to be able to have had the encounter with this young lady and just to watch her blossom into the young woman that she is today and the lives that she's been impacting in her small, small time here on planet Earth. And so today we want to welcome Miss Moya Dale to the show. Welcome, Moya.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it is indeed a pleasure to have you on the program. So I just want you to tell our host today, this month, for the rest of the month, we'll be celebrating women, looking at the accomplishments of women, both in a number of different spheres, in technology and so on, and in business and in the spiritual world as well. But we're also looking at young women and just how they have been able to survive life. I mean, adulthood, the transition, and all kinds of things. And I know you have had some very interesting experience, and it is my pleasure to have you on the show today. So tell us, who is Moya Dale?
Moya Dale is a resilient individual. She's very relentless. I am a choreographer, a teacher by profession, and a professional dancer as well. I do a little bit of everything, swimming. Sometimes my hobbies include singing, netball, you name it, I do it. I'm very energetic, very outspoken, and I love the Lord also.
Excellent. That's quite a mouthful. And one of the things that I know about you, Moya, is that you like to excel. And for a young lady, you deem professionalism to be the hallmark of what you do, and that is why you're so much in demand, even as a professional dancer. Now, Moya, as you have evolved, I know you're coming up in your the mud like to tell your age, right? But you're coming up along the line. But tell us, as you have grown over the years, what is it that has been some of the things that happened to you in life that makes you so resilient? Because that's one of the first words you've said, resilient.
For me personally, it starts from, as I said before, I was very outspoken, and sometimes that can be taken the wrong way.
Right.
So I would get in trouble a lot at school. I would get kicked out of about 3 high schools in Jamaica, and but that always drive me to know that I was never that person. I was just perceived that way at times. Not saying that I was always right, but I feel like if other persons, were more kind and willing to give me like a second chance, I would have excelled. But based on those experiences that I went through, it stirred me to, keep pushing, keep looking for the stars, keep looking for the moon. I know that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So that's why I'm very, very goal orientated and just, I know what I want.
Excellent. So what you're saying to our viewers today is that if at first you don't succeed, or if life, as we said, courage is not the absence of fear or even trouble, but when those things present themselves, how do you, make your way over them? So we know that you're very outspoken, but what were you searching for? Was it an identity thing? Why you think you had to speak up for yourself? Was there anything that happened to you in your childhood that says to you, listen, I can't just be here and not be counted. I have to stand up and let people know that I am here. Was there something that happened to you in your earlier life?
Well, I am adopted, so I've always had a feeling of resentment slash rejection of, my mother, my birth mother, not being able to look after me. So I felt as though she didn't want me, and that kind of showed in different areas of my life. So like sometimes if I should be playing with a group of friends and they want to do something, and I would feel like an outcast, and instead of just taking it and I would react to it in a certain way that would cause me to get into trouble a lot of times.
All right, so that's very, very important. So from very early, even though you didn't probably understand at that time, you knew you suffered from rejection because you understood at the time that when you adopted that you were going to be adopted.
Yes.
And so as you grew into from a child coming up, you knew that
but my own biological mother that gave birth to me didn't want me, but there's somebody. And so you felt that you had to stand up to defend yourself. And as you grew older, it affected you in how you related to others. So what I'm hearing you say now is that sometimes in our relation with other people, especially as young adults, we need to first find out, is this person just rude like that? Or is it that something happened to them? Would you say that that is important?
Yes, because there's a lot of impactful persons in my life that I actually looked up to that actually gave me a second chance to let me think that, because when I was giving these problems or these issues were coming up of me getting kicked out of school, me being quote unquote disrespectful to my peers or to superiors overall, there was always this lady, Dr.Leleith DeGrasse Johnson, that used to just inspire me from Edamani College. And she used to always say, Moya, I know that this is not, yes, you're rude, but you have purpose in you. My own mother, she used to always instill in me and say that, you're going to be an ambassador for children. You are going to speak to the nations and all of those stuff. So with the kind words and the positive overpowering the negative things that persons say, that really helped me to kind of think and know that I was not this all bad. I had good in me as well.
Oh, great, great, great. So what we're understanding, and I think it's so important for us to understand that a lot of times when we see kids in school acting out, right? We say, boy, it's their, them just bad, or we write them off. But what I'm hearing you saying that, you are who you are today, an accomplished young lady, because somebody gave you a second chance. So what we're saying is that you would say to somebody then that give somebody a second chance. How do you relate to children now when you find them being disruptive?
That's a very, they always say the pot always cussing the kettle.
Right.
I used to give my parents hell, and used to give the teachers hell. Now, seeing that I'm a dance teacher, just a teacher overall, there's days when I work with a lot of younger children, and there's days when the young kids is just like throwing their tantrums, and I have to be like, in my mind, I want to be like, don't start now, But then I remember like, okay, I used
who
to
you
do this
were,
still,
right?
So I just have to calm down, think, count to 10. If it's even to count to 10, 1 to 10, take a breather, and then say, okay, let's try it a different way, and just give them a second chance. Because it can be either one of two things. You can go toe to toe with them and get no results, or try and, cooperate with them and get a better result.
Excellent. So out of your experience, when you were young and having to deal with that kind of, you acting out and you being to some extent rebellious, you have been able to use that as your own guide, your booklet that you can now interact with students. And sometimes when we have bad experiences in our life or we have different ordeals, we find ourselves, wow, why me? Why me? But I think a good learner, a good influencer, is one who is able to use those experiences and say, hey, this is going to be my stepping stone to impact lives and to be able to make a difference. So not all that starts bad necessarily ends bad. All right. Now, Moya, this is an exciting part I want to ask. You're very beautiful and I must commend you. You look so well. Yeah, that's your own personality coming out there. But talk to us a little bit. You're young and you're a Christian, correct?
Correct.
Now, as a young Christian, beautiful girl, what are some of the challenges that you have?
Some of the challenges in Christendom, firstly, I would say is the things of the world that fascinates you. So I have a love for dance. I have a passion for dance, but dancing can either be good dancing or bad dancing. Good in the sense to say, you're dancing, you're using your gift, you're using your talent to represent the kingdom of God and doing kingdom building activities.
Right.
Dancing in the sense to say,
just
not
gyrating,
whining, going on sound boxes, partying. Not saying that the persons who go to parties are, all bad, but
that's just not your scope.
Christian living and trying to please God and to hear well done, thou good and faithful servant. Yeah, that's kind of not my thing.
So that's one of the challenges, because I know that sometimes for some person it's just the beat, and once you hear your beat, you put on your Bible, you bust to dance, and you come back, right?
Yes.
So that is still a challenge for you, because usually people who are like that, usually it's about the beat and the rhythm and so on. No, so dancing is so being able to separate yourself from the things of the world and what you do. What else you find challenging? How about the boyfriends? Yes.
Okay, so my mother is a very big part of that as well. She's always saying to me, boy, I want my grandchildren, when are you going to give me my grandchildren? I'm not saying you must go out and marry anybody just like that, but you need to start dating to plan it. And I'm like, Mommy, men will always be on the earth. I can always have a child. I don't want nobody to put a time on my life. Okay, just
Okay.
let me live a life. But it also plays in with being a Christian as well. Most men these days, not just Jamaica, but overall, they're not looking for relationships, Christian building and growing together.
Mm-hmm.
All they're really looking for is sex.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, following the Christian rules, following the commandments and the teachings of God is no sex before marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when they don't want to wait, that causes arguments, problems. And then again, I'm very goal oriented. So I have this vision for my life and I don't feel like I need to detour for love when that can be found later on.
Oh, very, very interesting. I hope lots of young people are listening. So for you, it's what is important now. And you're very goal driven and you want to accomplish those goals. So you'd say to young girls who are in church, what would be your message to young ladies who in church who say, my body have burned me, I'm going to want somebody? What would you say to those young people who say, boy, 2023, the signs of the times are everywhere. We see things falling out the sky. We see all kinds of deviation based on Matthew. What Matthew talks about would happen in the last days. What would you say to them? Do they rush to get married, or do you still say to them, wait on the Lord?
Wait on the Lord. There is nothing that is running away. Trust me. Sometimes the things that we run after are the things that we seek after. When we actually experience it, we're like, so this did really come after. So trust me. As I said before, men will always be on the earth. When one dies, another one comes into the world. You don't need to rush.
Yeah, my mother always tell me that you should never run on anything, not even a bus. She always said that the bus will move when you're
Yes.
moving. But I just want to endorse too that as believers, we have to understand too that the Bible does say, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness and all other things shall be added unto you. And God have a way to preserve things for us. Even though I know that for a lot of young people, they look in their churches today and they will say, boy, they count off and they say, Tom gone to Mary and Philip gone to Sue, and they don't say anybody for themselves. But I want us to understand, as this is we are talking today on Tip and Chat, that I mean, God is more than Philip and Paul. He has many men, many young men, many good prospects all over the world, and he's able to bring people's paths together. So what I'm hearing you saying, Moya, is that we shouldn't shortchange ourselves because we feel like time is running out and we're looking in our own space and we're not seeing the things that we want to do. In this Jamaica, Moya, do you think that there is hope for young women in terms of just how you see your future? Because every day you look and you try to acquire things, it looks so impossible. But do you think there is hope for us for I say us because I think myself is younger, but you're a little younger than I am. But do you see hope in this country?
I do. Many times when we hear about Jamaica, it's always affiliated with more negative things. But our motto is like, we have some things that we say, we lick but we talawa. And if talawa means, we large, we big, strong, something of that sort. So if a country that was so bad and all of the negative things that most people feed in, but then still on the brighter side saying, we're strong, we're powerful. The young generation, God is raising up an army of young people, and it also has to deal with, again, how you see yourself, your self-esteem, the circle that you are around, because many times, if you see your friend partying, a peer pressure, all right, that's the cool kids, that's the cool squad. No, sometimes it's okay to be alone. Find who you are as an individual. Find persons who motivate you to do the things that you want to do. And ask God. If you're not sure about what it is that you want to do, ask Him. He has all the answers. He has all the questions. Him has all the answers to every question that you might ask or think about. He has everything.
So I'm hearing you say that God knows that we're all here. So even though, and I think it goes back to the big mantra that the country has, that we can use what's right to fix what's wrong. Because like you rightfully say, Jamaica has, basically there's two extremes. There is what is bad and there's what is good. And it is a thought that we can use what's good to fix what's bad in our nation. Talk to us. You said something I found very interesting, and something I believe it's very superficial when we talk about talk to God, ask God stuff. Sometimes people feel like, no, these people are fairy tale. Have you ever spoken to God in a way that you know that you spoke to him and he heard you and he responded to you? Because what we want to do, we want to encourage somebody out there, a young lady, whoever is listening this afternoon, who sometimes just feel like, boy, I think God only listens to certain people. So talk to us about that.
For me personally, I've been there multiple times and still might go back there. What we have to understand overall as individuals, even when we go to God, sometimes we're not going to get the answer the same time.
Okay.
There's a waiting period. Some people wait for months, weeks, and some people it's called long suffering.
Right.
But the thing, what I personally would say, God speaks to persons in different ways.
Right.
So I can be going through something and I say, hey, God, what is this? I need your help. I need your advice. And I'm expecting to hear his voice and say, don't worry, my daughter, it's going to be okay. But somebody can pass me on the road and say, you know, you're looking lovely. I hope you have a great day. And maybe that was what I was seeking. Or I could be listening to the song on social media and something scrolls when I scroll and I say, and it just relates to the thing that I was asking God about.
For.
So
Right.
it goes in.
So what I'm understanding you to say, Moya, is that God always answers people. So like somebody said, I think it's Jackie McCullough, she says that he's not a mute God. He's always speaking to his people. But part of the challenge is how God speaks back to us. Because sometimes we want to hear his voice saying it audibly to us. And like you're saying, which is so true, that sometimes God speaks to us through, I have prayed about stuff already, and by the time I'm finished praying, somebody sends me a text. It's so real. And I might be, or I just go in the car and I hear a song directly in response to what I was praying about, right? So I want us to know that God is not a mute God. He's concerned about every aspect of our lives, financial, social, emotional, the pain that we feel when we are hurt, everything. He is afflicted by all of our griefs. And we just have, as Moya is saying today, we just have to talk to him and he will indeed answer us. Moya, one of the challenges we have with young adults as well is like, you and I are on the set now, but for the most part, a lot of time when we talk about young people, even in churches, they're always on their phones or they're always seem to be participating in some social activities in the social space, right? So I want to talk to us about, some people even call some people used to call social media demon, you know. Them used to talk, so basically these things are demonic, they take away. But no, because COVID has brought everybody to online. No, it is a panacea to all the problems that we have. But talk to us about the role, young people, young adults, young Christians, and social media. What should we do? How should they manage it? And is it bad or is it good?
For me, social media is what you, the individual, makes it. And as it relates to bad or good, you have to have a balance. Sometimes it can't just be work. You need to have a social life, a fun life. Not necessarily to go out, but sometimes to unwind. And for example, TikTok. TikTok is a very big platform where, people dance, they do whatever they want. The videos can be either educational videos or it can be things that, if, for example, I'm a Christian and it's not just a Christian-based website or platform. There's different things catering for all persons. So I, as an individual, need to know what I'm going to feed my spirit with. If this is something that I want to indulge in, if this is something that I want to spend time, hours in a day and do, that is where the balance comes in. I'm going to either say, okay, I'm going to dedicate an hour and a half to TikTok. After an hour and a half to TikTok, I find something productive to do. And then
not that TikTok is unproductive either.
No, not that TikTok is unproductive.
That is so important, because one of the things that we learned in recent has been publicized is that, for example, in China, what they have on their TikTok is a lot of educational things, how to be an astronaut and so on. But the versions that, although persons say there are options that people can go to, but it seems that on this side of the world, most people go to the things that are sensational and so on, as opposed to focusing on traditional things. So what I'm hearing you say, Moya, is that when we have to, as young people, have to make those choices. What is it that they want? So, because I'm thinking too as well, and you can correct me, if they weren't watching it on social media, they would find somewhere to secure the information. Am I correct?
That is true.
So it's about young people saying, okay, I've always remembered in church we were told that what you feed will live, what you starve will die. So if you feed your spirit man will grow. And if you starve your flesh will automatically come into alignment. And I think that's very important for young adults to understand as well. Because if you are young and single, for example, and you're going to bed and you're listening to baby, I've been in and out, you're creating those romantic atmospheres and stuff like that. Knowing that you're single and the only companion you have in your bed is the pillow, then you're going to have a challenge. But if you feed your spirit man, so to speak, and mark you can do that if you can manage it. So I'm hearing you say that you need to learn how to just feed your spirit so that your spirit will grow and allow not your flesh to overcome all the challenges that you go through. Moya, talk to us about your role as a dance teacher, as a teacher overall, and how has that helped you to just be able to fulfill some of the promise, some of the things that you think God has called you into?
For me, dancing has always been a place of safety. And when I say a place of safety, meaning when everything in the world just gets too much or just overbearing, I would normally just either in my room find a dance studio, turn on the music, close my eyes, and I would just move and just be free and just, release some steam. That was just my way of coping. So when I started teaching, my first school that I taught, I was 14 years old.
Wow.
Yes, I taught the Queen's High School at 14 years old. I had no teaching knowledge. I used to just go to Edna. I used to just dance in my house, do a lot of flicking on the wall and all of that.
So you went to Edna when you were up at Edna when you were 14?
No, I went to the junior department at Edna
Oh,
Manley
okay,
College. So I
okay.
went there from a baby till I was big. And they really taught me a lot. I had to do ballet, modern, folk, all the different genres, and they taught me the techniques and all of that. So based on the things that I had learned from Edna Manley College, I just took the little knowledge that I knew about dancing and said, you know what, let me try this teaching thing. Little did I know that teaching dancing was just not 5, 6, 7, 8. It was also dealing with the students' problems as well, because not all the students that you have are okay
Right,
and well,
right.
you have persons, they're teenagers just like me, but I didn't really walk and tell persons my age because I always feel like age is just a number and we should not let it define our capabilities as humans. So I used to always say, no man, I'm here for you guys. So they used to come to me and tell me, Miss, this is happening, Miss. And I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm just here to teach dance, but I had to be someone of influence them or encouraging them to say, hey guys, I use dance and dance helped me. I'm not saying that you should use dance, but I think you should find something that helps you, grasp the things, like get away from things that hurt you, anything that you feel discouraged in, and just live a little.
Oh, that's excellent, Moya. That's excellent. So, and so from very early, from a very young age, even though you were disruptive in your early life, you understood that God had a call on your life. And I guess now when you look back, you recognize that those distractions were to detour you from your destiny, but you were purposeful in your mind, soul, and spirit that listen, what God has for me, it is for me. And so I want you to talk to me a little bit now about when you encounter struggles and obstacles that seem to just make you feel like you can't make it. What is it that props you back? Like how you're Power Rangers, and when the enemy, I don't even know the correct name of the enemy that attacks in Power Ranger, but I know that sometimes when the enemy, the opposition comes against those the Rangers, sometimes they'll come together as a Super Ranger. You see them morphing back together. So talk to us, Moya, about when you encounter your own challenges, your adversarial path. What is it that morphs you up together and and gives you that strength?
I would firstly like to believe that I'm like a tree planted. I can't be moved, but everybody needs somebody.
Right.
So I'm of the impression, as I said, I always think I'm strong, but when things normally get overbearing for me, I either isolate myself, which is not a good thing. I isolate myself for like months. Nobody hears from me, or I cry.
Before you go any further, just tell our audience why. Because a lot of people always say they take away themselves and they want the isolation. But explain why you think it's not good.
For me personally, as I said, no man is an island and no man stands alone. Sometimes the thing that I could be going through, somebody has already gone through it, or somebody else is going through it currently. And either we can help each other, or the person who has gone through it already can give us advice and say, hey, I've been there, I've done that, I'm a living testimony, and look at me now, I'm here, I'm standing, I'm surviving. Yes. So that's why I say sometimes it's not good to stay alone, but then there's time. The reason why I stay alone, because sometimes you don't want to feel like a burden when you're going through your struggles, when you're feeling down, you're feeling low. You don't really want to project that on persons, your circle, or just overall. You don't want to feel like you're draining anybody's energy. So for me, that's why I normally stay away. When I say I cry, sometimes God, you don't need to talk for God to hear you.
Tears are language.
Yeah, He understands every single thing you do. So sometimes when I cry, it's just me saying, I've had enough. I'm tired. I don't have any words, but this is just me crying. God, do something for me. Or other times, it's just a song. I'll be there feeling low, and then I listen to a song and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, girl,
get up.
Look at you. Why are you here crying? Like, what is happening right here? You need to get up. So, yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is that trials are real, problems are real, and what we have to do sometimes, and there's a reason why I paused and I want you to speak a little bit about this whole isolation issue, because one of the things that we have found out is that sometimes our situation forces us into seclusion. And when we go into those seclusive moments or those isolated moments in our own lives, sometimes the spirit of depression or the feeling of depression comes down upon you. And then because we don't talk, because, Jamaica has a culture of fabricating things. And so we don't want to talk about what's happening to us. We don't want anybody to know that, oh, I'm going through this and I'm going through that. And then we silently die, because we don't want anybody. So that is one of the reasons I wanted to talk to us about why personally you felt that this idea of just being by yourself wasn't important, because sometimes it's out of pride that people don't want to share, and so they just need a little time away. Where, like you rightfully say, if they made an effort to find somebody, because everybody needs somebody. Boy, Moya, it's really so good talking to you on the program. It always goes by so fast, but I'm praying that somebody is really blessed by your accomplishments. Must commend you. I mean, I've had the opportunity to see you interacting with young people. Although you look, as I say, you look like a little child yourself sometimes when I stay with them. Teaching children to dance and how they respond to you. So continue blazing your trail. As we say on Sip and Chat, we like to bring some unsung heroes to the fore so that people can know that, you might not have a big title, but in your own way, you're creating an impact in the lives of young Jamaicans. And so I want to, on behalf of the whole team, I just want to tell you to continue doing what you're doing, because you don't know, like the thing says, your reward will be sure if you faint not. There will be distractions, but one of the things that I've learned is that we need to feed our focus and starve the distractions. Until next time, let us continue to sip and chat.